Hey, this is Pascal from Moving Concepts, and
Julius from Sudan.
Julia asked me to help her with a transition from a down dog to crow, so jump forward and balance in a crow. And I thought it would be fun to just show you guys some of the progressions that I think are very helpful, especially for yogis, because this transition is interesting because it shows, in my opinion, very often the weak link that yogis miss, which is bent arm strength. A lot of the poses and transitions in yoga happen either on a straight arm or they happen in a static position like chaturanga. And the jump from Adho Mukha Shvanasana to Bakasana is a mix of both. So you need to have that transition from straight arm strength to bent arm strength, which is super fun to work with. So here are some of the progressions that I think are helpful. What are you struggling with in this transition?
I'm struggling with finding the strength in my shoulders to break the inertia forward. So I get the jump, I know the crow, I can hold it easily, but as the weight comes forward from Adho Mukha Shvanasana to catching it, it just feels like gravity is stronger.
So the first concept I want to work on is having the basics clean, which means your crow should be rock solid and your transition from a down dog into a bent arm strength should be rock solid. So I'll show you two variations. One is going to be a long hold in a crow. So we're just going to hold the crow for 25 seconds. Then we're going to go from a down dog into chaturanga. Transition with a lot of control and that shoulder lean forward. So let's start with the crow. So in that first position, in your crow, make sure, go ahead and go in. Make sure you keep the weight in the front part of your hand. So not on the wrist, but keep it in that knuckle of your index finger. And then hold it there. Make sure you're not dropping down low on your shoulder. So also the deltoids are firing in the front. Keep it for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's done. So step number one, make sure your crow is super solid and you feel comfortable in it. Number two, progression number two is going from a downward facing dog. Go ahead. Transitioning into chaturanga. So there are two ways you can do this. Number one is you shift the shoulder forward into a plank position and then you transition into chaturanga from there. Meaning your forearm is parallel to the ground and your shoulder is in line with your elbow. And then push back up and back into the down dog. That's variation number one. Variation number two, which is a bit closer to where we want to go, is you go immediately from a down dog into chaturanga. So go ahead, bend the arms immediately and hit pause there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then push back immediately. Boom. Now you went back through a plank.
I did.
So try to push back rather than up. I'll show you variation number three is one leg is up, which adds more weight, and now we do the same thing. Straight into that chaturanga hold and back up. So notice the shoulder is going back up and then take a break. So again, this is one of those concepts I've been talking about, is this transition from straight arm to bent arm strength. So not just static poses, but adding in some dynamic movement. It is coming?
It is coming.
Anything challenging in this position?
The way back up.
Mm-hmm.
The way back up is, I'm trying to find the muscle that is not developed yet. Especially on the way back up, I don't find the angle to, my body wants to push up and go back because this is where I have the strength, but the way to stay low and go back up,
Awesome.
is developing.
So it's all about getting comfortable in those areas where you haven't been so much before. So developing some new movement patterns and developing some confidence in your shoulder strength, in your finger strength, and in your forearm strength, you can actually keep that position. So from there, we're going to play with some more dynamic moves. So go into a down dog, and we'll do some down dog hops. Some of you might know them also as frog hops or frog jumps. So in your down dog, make sure your fingers are spread wide. There is weight in the knuckles, not just in the wrists. Then you're going to bend the knees low, and you're just going to jump up and land again. Jump up and land again. Yeah, nice. So what you see Julia is already doing incredibly is bringing her knees close to her rib cage. So closing the hip angle. And the shoulder is also traveling forward. You could do a lot smaller hops. Can you just do some small hops? Yeah. So you could do just some small hops like this. Or you keep the hip coming forward, knees forward. So you're almost hitting that handstand line. Boom, and you go back. Boom, and you go back. And then your goal is to slow that down. So to slow down so you're almost landing very softly. Beautiful. Do 3 more. Yep. Nice. All right. We'll take a break. Next one. From here, we're gonna add that weight shift of your center of mass, of your center of gravity, a bit more forward. So we're gonna end up in Malasana. So now we're gonna jump from a down dog, do that same frog jump, but now the feet are gonna land left and right side of the hands. As smooth as possible. Boom. And then you jump back. Yes. Knees bent, jump forward, soft landing with the feet. And then try to bring your feet all the way next to your hands. So the further forward you are jumping, the more you're plunging, which means your shoulder is coming beyond that line of your wrist, and the more you have to put the brakes on in your hands, the more your deltoids have to work to avoid that falling over action, the more stable and the more confident you will get. Do 2 more. And take a break. Exhausting? How does that feel?
It feels great. I'm relying a lot on my flexibility and just collapse on the descent. I think I could slow down the descent much more.
Right.
Later.
Okay, I'm just gonna look on my little list. What else do we have? All right. So Julia just mentioned she relies a lot on her flexibility. Again, something you find that is very common. If you have a lot of flexibility, you lean into flexibility. If you have a lot of strength, you lean into strength. And the art comes, or the magic happens when you combine the two. So when you work on your strength, if you're a more flexible person, if you work on your flexibility, if you tend to be either more on the strong side. So that's what we're going to work on, a jump back. So now from a crow, we're going to jump back into chaturanga and then push up into a plank pose. So go ahead and find your crow. Hold that crow for 2 or 3 seconds, so make sure you are stable, and you push up and back, up and back. And yeah, can add it in your side here, in a down dog, and then walk forward and go back into crow. Now, see, if you're not jumping into plank, you're jumping into chaturanga.
Okay.
So again, you want to learn to come into bend arm strength immediately. Push and hold, push up and back. Nice. So, number 3, again, your main action and your main focus is not pushing back, it's pushing up. So imagine before you do that, can I do just one? So imagine before you do that push back as if you want to push up into a handstand. So you're here and then you push up and back. So you have that moment of not like a float, but that elevation that gives you some time to extend the legs up. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Up and back, not back.
Where do you get the up from?
Push down as hard as you can. Imagine you want to straighten your arms, just like we did before in that push-up. Imagine straightening the arms, leaning forward, lean, straighten, nice.
And now it will be even better to go back.
Did that feel different?
Yes.
Okay, what felt different?
Earlier I would push into the knees, into the upper arm, and kind of just get myself back. And now I really felt the pushback. I think there is a lot of room to grow.
Mm-hmm.
But my body seems to get a glimpse of where the actual up is coming from, because you like really lift it up.
Nice. That's Finja. You want to go?
Let's see. Let's give her a second.
It's 12 p.m. Kids are asleep. Parents get to play. So
12:30 actually.
if one of us is leaving,
I think she made it.
she made it. Sleeping again. All right. So we continue. So it's time for our first jump forward, and we're gonna play with two different variations. The one variation is, I would say, if you are afraid of the jump, so we're gonna keep it very low, like you come in like a chap, and the other one is more like a leaping leopard, where you come more from a handstand position. I would say for most people, the first one is a bit easier. So we're going to jump from a down dog immediately into your crow, but we keep it very low. It looks like this. So from that down dog position, look where you want to go. So you look in between the hands, you bend very low, and then as you come forward, you bend the arms immediately. And then you can continue however you want. So notice there's no height. It's just coming forward. As I'm traveling forward, I am bending. Want to give it a try? So we'll just watch the first one and then I'll show you how to spot it. And hope that Julia will manage and survive the first one. Bend low, travel forward, not up. Yep. Boom.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That was the best one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
So, how did that feel?
That actually felt great, and I think if I trusted it like 2
Do
centimeters
another
more
one.
going forward.
Just do another one. Yeah. There you go.
I wanted to give myself 4 weeks to get it.
That wasn't planned, it just happened. Oh,
Awesome.
that's it.
So
We'll still look at the other one because it's fun.
it is.
So how did that one feel? Easy, no?
Yeah, my body,
Yeah.
we've been trying yesterday and it wasn't there, but my body figured it out. It's amazing.
Yeah. So now the second variation, which is, I think, more fun because it's easier to connect different poses. So the second one allows you to move either from crow into a handstand or from a handstand into a crow, because it adds that little moment of height, which requires a bit more strength because you're not connecting immediately elbow and knee, but again, it allows you to play a lot more.
And it looks prettier.
You want to try that one?
With a spot.
Sure. You want to see it? Or you
I want to see it.
So in that second one, I am thinking bent arm handstand. Not thinking straight handstand, I'm thinking plunging, holding the handstand with bent arms to slow down the transition into crow. Everything else stays the same. Look slightly in front of your hands. I bend, I jump, I hold, So you saw there's that small delay between connecting the knees and being in that handstand. And you can play, you could jump right into a handstand, lower then down. I now did something in between where I was really hovering above. Want to try?
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous.
To spot this, you want to spot the shoulders. So I'm just going to be on one knee, so I'm in that lunge position, and I'm going to wait for the shoulders because that's where the weight's going to drop quickly, so I can help her to balance or to catch it if she doesn't make it at all.
So stay up high, think.
Yeah. And then push down. Looking between your hands. I got you. Ready when you are.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think I would need to come a little bit more forward.
Yeah.
With the shoulders.
Mm-hmm. That's number one. Yeah, that was good.
I can smell it.
Yeah. So now trust it and even fall into my hands. The hands will be there. So you guys see it better from this angle. My hands are already there. I have to be careful to not block the shoulders because the shoulders need to be in front of the hands. So don't think handstand spot, think a crow spot. Mm-hmm. That's good. And now trust it and bring the hips more over.
Okay.
And shoulder more forward, a lot more forward. So look here.
Look here, okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
I got you. Hang on.
Almost.
Yeah.
We do one more.
Last one. Fall over. So now 3 times you land it back on your feet.
Okay.
I want you to land in my hands.
Okay.
So over jump. Go, 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 go. Yeah.
There it was for a second.
That's really good.
It's so exciting. It's so exciting.
Awesome. So you see in this last attempt from Julia, you can see why this pose is so funny, because it is a combination of strength and balance. And you will find, even if you're super strong, you will still have to work on your balance to nail that position. And if you have great balance, but you're lacking the strength, you will struggle to put the brakes on that prevent you from falling over.
What I noticed is even in the first one, the 25-second crow position, is that I'm doing crow for 16, 17 years now, and I noticed how much I'm in the pattern of hanging out in the safe zone of the wrist. And sometimes I work a little bit with the fingers, but this jump really requires a lot of comfort zone in the uncomfortable fingertips of like just about to be falling over, just like the same in a handstand. It's really creating the body resilience and the strength in the fingers to put the brakes on.
Awesome. Well done. So give it a try. Make sure you practice with a spotter. Spotter is on the head side, always looking for the shoulders.
Make sure to train your spotter well so he can also be a coach. Like it's just crucial. Like the positive encouragement and the motivation, the cheerleading, super important.
Remember the progression followed the old principle of isolation first. So get the statics clean, which is your crow, your down dog, and bend down strength in your chaturanga. Then integrate it, which means do some dynamic work. We did the down dog transition into chaturanga, transitioning back, not through a plank, but immediately through that 45-degree shoulder angle. And then we adjusted and made some jumps. So we added speed and dynamic. Those were some down dog jumps, those frog jumps, and the jumps from a down dog to malasana, to the deep squat. We also did a jump back, so dynamic, a reverse jump from crow position to that chaturanga, and then we added 2 options: jump very low, coming in like a chat, or like a leaping leopard, you're coming from the top. Enjoy your practice, and see you soon. Good night.
Good night.